Really quick before I start this video, I just want to make a small correction from the last one. I made a typo for one of the locations, and that was New York City. It's spelled Y-O-K-E, not Y-O-L-K. I don't know how I messed that up in editing, but I did, so I just wanted to make sure that it was all cleared up here. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Hello, I'm Miss DS Woman, and this video is the second installment in my Sonic Prime character breakdown series. If you have not already watched the first video I made about Sonic Prime, I recommend you do so before watching this one. It provides a lot of context and background information on the show and how the series will go. But I understand that some people don't move like that, so if you want to just watch this one, I understand. In the last video, I covered all the different versions of Sonic, Shadow, Tails, and Knuckles from Season 1 of Sonic Prime. In this one, I will be covering all the versions of Amy, Rouge, Big, and what I believe is Gamma. I won't spend too much time in this intro, but know that this video will contain spoilers. With that being said, let's get into the characters, starting with Amy Rose. So Amy Rose is one of Sonic's friends from Green Hill, except get this, she's a female friend. I'm kidding, but seriously, Amy is one of the two female characters in the main cast. Something interesting to me is that she and Rouge, who I will talk about later, both have significant redesigns of their usual outfits in the show. Hello, this is my first editor's note for this video, and I wanted to say that when I was looking for Amy and Rouge's typical outfits to compare them to their Sonic Prime outfits, I realized something interesting, and this is just my speculation, so I don't know if it's 100% fact, but I think that Amy and Rouge's outfits in Sonic Prime take the most inspiration from their outfits in Sonic Heroes. The outfits are very similar, and I'm going to place them on the screen right now so you can see how similar they are. And in case you're not watching or something like that, I'll go ahead and describe the differences for you. For Amy's outfit, it seems like they've made it more flashy and brighter. Like the reds and pinks are more bright, the gold has a nice touch to it, and her cuff rings. Her boots have like two cuffs instead of one, and for people who wear dresses, you know that material around the waist of your dress to make your waist look more snatched? Amy has that, and it's more prominent in her Sonic Prime dress. Now as for Rouge, it's sort of like they did the opposite. A lot of stuff in Rouge's outfit is toned down from Sonic Heroes Sonic Prime. For example, like the pinks are more of a fuchsia instead of a hot pink, and Rouge was even having pink eyeshadow and they made it blue in the Sonic Prime version. In Sonic Heroes, she has a bit of cleavage action going on, and it's none of that in Sonic Prime. They just made a full-on jumpsuit that goes over her shoulders, and the purple went from like being just like a sort of like a nerd's purple to like the darkest purple you can get, you know? And obviously that also has to do with the fact that Sonic Heroes was years ago and Sonic Prime was like last year. But still, I thought that was interesting, and I thought that it was important to point out. I believe this could be the case for multiple reasons. Primarily the male and female characters are designed differently depending on the medium, let's be real. Amy is the more caring and compassionate friend of the group. She prefers to talk things out instead of fighting to resolve a dispute. She also values the memories she makes with her friends, which is important to remember for later. The version of Amy that resides in New York City is arguably the complete opposite of her Green Hill version. Whereas Amy from Green Hill is a creature filled with emotions and feelings, Rusty Rose is an emotionless cyborg controlled by the Chaos Council, who again, I will explain later. She does whatever she's programmed to do with no regard for anyone else. This makes her a force to be reckoned with throughout the first season of the show, and a formidable foe to Sonic. Now that I know we are getting season 2 of this show, I'm interested to see more fight scenes with her because she does not go down easy. When you learn about Thorn Rose from the Bosket's Maze, you might learn to appreciate Amy's caring and non-violent nature. This statement is not to say that Thorn Rose is unfriendly, but that seeing others around her not care as much as she caused her to be combative. Let me explain further. Thorn used to live peacefully with the other scavengers in the maze. They picked berries to eat from the jungle terrain. But when she saw the other scavengers getting greedy and taking more than they should, she went haywire and kicked them out of the jungle. Well, more like hit them out with her hammer, and forced them to live on the canopy above. Granted, that's a more rational move than Amy from Green Hill would make, but my point is, empathy is still consistent between the two of them. The Sonic News Network describes Thorn as lacking Amy's common sense, and I think that's accurate. When Sonic comes to the Bosquet's maze, he gets introduced to Thorn as the monster, and has to convince her and the other scavengers to talk out their issues, instead of fighting 24/7. Only then does Thorn see the error of her ways and wants to fix them. Lastly, there is Black Rose from No Place. Black Rose is the only version of Amy who I don't have too much to say about. She's exactly what you would imagine Amy Rose as a pirate being. I will say that she's very optimistic and has some sort of adventure sense, which is more than what I can say for the rest of Knuckles the Dread's current crew. Fun fact, Black Rose is the first character to see an alternate version of herself. This is a major spoiler, so once again, if you don't want to be spoiled, please skip ahead a little bit. But when Rusty Rose invades No Place, she and Black Rose see one another and are shocked at how similar they look. This opens up a big question I have about Sonic Prime, which is, what will happen if and when these alternate versions of a character see one another? Will the show explore that? Hopefully I will get my answer in Season 2, but until then, it is time to move on to Rouge the Bat. One thing about Miss Rouge is that she is going to serve a look in any dimension. I mean, look at these outfits combined with the makeup looks. But anyway, Rouge is close with Sonic and his friends in this show, which is closer than she has been throughout the Sonic games. I was puzzled when she and Shadow had no interactions during the first season. But in and outside the show, Rouge is mischievous and loves a good gem. She spends a lot of her time searching for them. Like Renegade Nux, Rebel Rouge is a bit more mature than her Green Hill counterpart. She seems to be the leader of the rebellion against the Chaos Council. Instead of treasures, she's entirely focused on liberation, which is completely understandable. Something consistent among the versions of Rouge is her being somewhat of a leader. Prim Rouge is no exception to this, as she leads the scavengers in the Bosquet's maze after Thorn Rose kicked them out of the jungle. I seriously don't know if they would have even survived without her. She knows what goes on around the jungle, and leads all the searches for berries. She's also protective, meaning that she is willing to fight anyone who is a threat to her and the other scavengers, for better or for worse. As I mentioned earlier, she eventually hashes things out with Thorn Rose near the end of the season. Batten Rouge is the pirate version of Rouge. She has a stereotypical pirate accent and speaks with pirate lingo. However, what's unique about her is that she's a bit more demanding than all the other No Place pirates. I think she also gives a leader vibe, but don't quote me on that. It's been a little bit since I watched Season 1 firsthand. Now, on to everyone's favorite character, the iconic, incomparable, Big the Cat! To be honest, Big does not have too much screen time compared to the rest of the cast, so my description of him and his alternate versions will not be very expansive. Big himself is a large cat who spends most of his time minding his business with his best friend Froggy, who is a frog, but like a non-anthropomorphic frog. Somehow, he often gets roped into Sonic and his friends' adventures. From what I see, the names of Big's otherworldly counterparts are both hilarious and kind of sad. For example, the New York City version of Big's name is Denizen 1998. Fun fact, 1998 is also the year that Sonic Adventure was released. There are a ton of references in this show, including ones that I didn't get to in the last video. Denizen 1998 is the first character Sonic recognizes as Big when he arrives at New York. Unfortunately, Denizen 1998 does not recognize him though, and is just another citizen under the Chaos Council. Hangry Cat, yes, that's his name, Hangry Cat, is pretty much what would happen if Big the Cat became a starving scavenger instead of a regular one. Very goofy, very hungry for berries. I will say that I believe this is the least we see of some version of Big with Froggy. It doesn't feel complete, you know? The name of Big's pirate version is Catfish. I kid you not, the Sonic News Network says his name is Catfish. I find that to just be so funny. Catfish does less hard labor than his fellow crew members. This is my nice way of saying he's lazier than they are. He can usually be seen eating on board or sleeping on board. However, he does help out in his ways. Now that I have discussed Amy, Rouge, and Big, let's get into what's possibly Gamma and why I keep saying possibly. This section will contain spoilers for Sonic Adventure, so if you for some reason don't want to be spoiled for that, please skip this section of the video as well. This is Gamma. And this is what was trapped inside Gamma. See, in Sonic Adventure, Dr. Eggman took animals such as birds and trapped them in robots to do his bidding. It's pretty dark when you think about it. But Gamma resisted Dr. Eggman's control and ended up helping Sonic, leading to him exploding and the bird inside him reuniting with its family. So from this point forward, I will be referring to the bird as Gamma, even though they're technically not the same. We just associate it as the same. So yeah, the bird is Gamma, and I'm going to call it Gamma now. In the show, there is a bird that follows Amy around in Green Hill. Does that look familiar to you? Pretty similar, right? This is especially notable because Amy's story in Sonic Adventure involves the bird family. There is also another, much larger bird that follows Thorn Rose in the Boskus Maze. That bird is a lot scarier. Okay, so I completely forgot about this, and I don't know how, but it turns out that the bird is also present in New York City, and it's literally inside of Rusty Rose's chest. Like, it replaced her heart, which is really dark. Also, shout out to this person on Twitter because they pointed out some similarities between Rusty Rose and Gamma that I didn't even mention, so that very much may be the route that they are taking and the way that they are referencing Gamma as well. Interesting point. Viewers of the show, including me, have speculated over whether these birds represent Gamma or not. I mean, it looks like Gamma, but the season doesn't make it clear that it is, and when I looked on the Sonic News Network for information, there are some ties to it being the bird, but apparently it's the blue bird and not the pink bird. It's complicated. Or maybe I'm just making it more complicated than it needs to be. On that note, this is the end of this part of the Sonic Prime Character Breakdown series. To everyone watching, I hope you are enjoying it so far, especially if you made it to the end of this video. In the next one, I'll be breaking down the Chaos Council, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good time wherever you are.